Hi, I'm Rochelle Travers, and this is the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast. Coming up, how you can see the Northern Lights from the UK. Now, let's get into it. If you're new here, make sure to hit follow. The Transport for London cyber attack, which happened a week ago, is actually much worse than previously thought. Here's the Evening Standard's City Hall editor and transport editor Ross Lydall with more details.
TfL admitted on Thursday afternoon that about 5,000 passengers may have had their bank account details seen by the hackers or exposed to the hackers, although it's not known at this stage whether money has been removed from the accounts. TfL also said that many Londoners who had shared either their home address or email address with TfL over possibly the past 18 to 20 years, that those email and home addresses could also have been exposed to the hackers.
TfL said all passengers affected would be contacted directly and said it was taking immediate measures to improve online security. Ross says currently it remains unclear just how widespread the impact of the attack goes and how long its effects will be felt for.
TfL, to be frank, doesn't really know. I asked Shashi Verma this morning how long it would take to put everything back together again and get its website working normally, and he was unable to give a time or date. Perhaps understandably, it's a massive job. He has about 2,000 staff currently trying to fix things, and there's no end date in sight.
The announcement came as the National Crime Agency revealed an arrest had been made on suspicion of Computer Misuse Act offences in relation to the attack.
Yesterday, the National Crime Agency said a 17-year-old had been arrested in connection with this hack. This lad was arrested in Walsall, and what's also come to light today is that a 17-year-old was also arrested in Walsall as well in July, also by the National Crime Agency. It was working at the time on a separate investigation into the cyber attack on a hotel group in Las Vegas. It was working with the FBI. Now, it could be that these two cases are unconnected. I have asked the NCA whether the 17-year-old it arrested in Walsall in July is the same 17-year-old it arrested last week in connection with the TfL investigation. It hasn't replied yet.
Next. Scientists have revealed that a year ago, a massive tsunami triggered by a landslide caused the Earth to vibrate for 9 days.
We detected a completely strange seismic signal, a vibration which travelled all over the globe. It looked nothing like an earthquake. It was completely different. It lasted for 9 days, which we've never seen a seismic vibration around the world last that long before.
That's Dr. Stephen Hicks, seismologist at University College London and a lead author of the study. He's been telling Tech and Science Daily how they discovered the unidentified seismic object.
But then we got in contact with Danish colleagues who have done a lot of field work on the ground in East Greenland, and they had received reports of a tsunami and landslide in one of the fjord systems of East Greenland. So then we could actually pinpoint where the seismic signal was coming from.
Luckily, the event was in a remote area and wasn't seen by the human eye, so no one was injured. The team were able to confirm what had happened by using numerical simulations as well as local data and imagery.
A mountain 1.5 kilometres high above one of the fjords, it's called Dixon Fjord, it collapsed suddenly. It collapsed because a glacier at the base of it had been thinning by about 30 metres over the last couple of decades. Huge amount of debris travelled down the glacier, picking up speed, picking up more ice, and then made a massive splash into the fjord below, a 200-metre high splash.
The landslide and tsunami are the first to be observed in eastern Greenland.
Our simulation showed that this tsunami couldn't lose its energy quickly. It couldn't travel further up the fjord where there's a dead end. It couldn't travel down the fjord where there's a sharp 90-degree bend in the fjord, and the open ocean is some 200 kilometres away. So this wave just then kept bouncing back and forth from across the opposing shorelines, transmitting vibrations into the surrounding fjord walls, then generating this seismic energy that's been seen all over the world.
According to the study published in the journal Science, the model predicted that the mass of water would have moved back and forth every 90 seconds, matching the recordings of vibrations travelling in the Earth's crust all around the planet. Dr. Hicks says no event has been observed like this before, or it's even known to have happened.
This is the first, I think, sort of big climate change induced event that's actually caused vibrations to travel all around the world and lasting for many days. So this event here, we're actually looking beneath our feet, looking down to the ground to actually study this event. And actually these seismic waves, because they travel so fast and we record data all around the world in real time, can actually offer an early warning for these sorts of big landslide tsunami events. So maybe in more populated regions, we could give some warning to people.
Now, were you one of the lucky people that witnessed the northern lights from parts of the UK last night? If you missed out, don't worry, because the Met Office says there's another chance to catch the phenomenon from the UK tonight, Friday the 13th of September going into Saturday the 14th of September, although they are currently forecast to be weaker. The best way to try and see them is to head to an area of low light pollution and use a camera or a telescope, because they're better at adapting to the different wavelengths than the human eye. Let's go to the ads. Coming up, the winners of the annual Spoof Nobel Prizes are revealed. Welcome back. The government is strengthening the Online Safety Act to crack down on revenge porn. The sharing of revenge porn will be classified as the most serious type of online offence, meaning social media platforms will now have to take steps to proactively remove it. The change to the law will see the sharing of intimate images without consent upgraded to a priority offence, and it's due to come into force from spring next year. Material considered a priority offence must not only be removed when it's found online, but platforms must also find ways to prevent it from appearing in the first place. And finally, it's that time of year again for the annual Spoof Nobel Prizes. This year marks the 34th IG Nobel Prize ceremony, and as always, there are some very interesting scientific breakthroughs that have picked up awards. Anus-breathing rats and pigs, dead trouts that can swim, and drunk worms are just some of the eyebrow-raising winners. But it was a Second World War project which involved training pigeons to pilot bombs, which won this year's Spoof Nobel Peace Prize. It was the work of American psychologist and former Harvard professor B.F. Skinner, who was celebrated posthumously with his daughter accepting the award on his behalf. In 1960, he proposed using live pigeons to help guide air-to-ground missiles, at a time when there were no missile guidance systems. You're up to date. Come back at 4 PM for the Standard podcast for all the latest news and analysis. Tech and Science Daily will be back on Monday at 1 PM. See you then.